What's up, dev people? This is part 4 in how to build a blog with Gatsby and Tailwind. In the last video, we moved a couple of components, a couple things into separate components, like the post list, post list item. We did a little bit of styling. Let's spin up the server here just so we can see what we've got, which is actually this, but this is just from before I had did some Git stuff in between videos. Let's just give it a minute to spin up. What was the error? Each list should have a key, each item in a list, and post list expected array for posts. Okay, well, let's just write now before we forget. Array dot is required, but posts is not an array because actually it's supposed to be an object because edges is the array. So that was good. And then there should be a key here. So let's do key equals node.id. Let's try that. Let's refresh. I'm guessing with the ID. I didn't think so. Let's do this. Let's go to localhost 8000 / GraphQL. And then let's see. Let's go up. We don't know why that's open. For every node, there is an ID, which is the interesting. UID. What? I'm a little confused, I guess. Okay. Well, let's just do this for now. When you do a map of an array, the second argument is the index. So actually, let me just make that a little bit more clear. Index. Okay, save that. Go back. Refresh. And the error is gone. So that's okay for now. We'll figure out what's going on there afterwards. But the key is now the index. Let's go ahead and style this a little bit. I want to use, just for the sake of it, because you can see that Tailwind can do it, we're going to use grid. So I like to think of, when I'm using Tailwind, a mobile first approach. So if I wanted to say, if I'm looking on my phone, first of all, I want to say grid. And if I was looking at it on my phone, I'd want my posts to be in one row. So grid cols 1. And then I think when I'd want to probably give it a gap, right? Some space in between each one, so we'll say 10. And let's see what that looks like really quick. Okay, so we got a good amount of space in between each one. Depending on how, and if you think about it, it's going to be S5, 100%. We'll go with that. So not too bad. And then when we get to the small, so we'll say, actually, you know what, let's just leave it one row. Let's be easy about it, right? And then what we can also do is we could say that the width is full, okay, and the max width is the screen extra large. And then we will also do MX auto, so it's auto margin on both sides. And then we want to give it some padding on both sides, so PX8, which will line it up with the top one right here. And then we also want to grab the list and say padding top, I'm sorry, margin top, and we want to do 10. All right. Not too bad. Push it down a little bit. Let's go to 8. Let's not get extreme with that. Let's go to 8. A little bit less. So that's not too bad. It's mobile size. If we go to an iPad, still looks pretty good. I say we need to make this right here get a little bit bigger so we can actually see it at that size. So let's go to the post list item. And what we can probably actually do here is let me pull this down and I'll snap it over to the side and put this next to it so we can just see it. And then I'll close this. Alright, so at iPad size, let's make the text, we'll say it's going to start at 2XL, which would be for the mobile size. And then let's go medium. Actually, let's go small, because that'll be the next size up, and say text 3XL. So that'll make it bigger here. I think I might like 4. I want to make it big. Okay, that'll look good, I think. Let's go with the medium. So everything above that, we'll just say we want it to be 5XL. So it's nice and big. So now if we were to just leave the mobile view and go a little bit bigger. You know, maybe instead let's do... Oh, that's why. I made a space there. I'm like, wait, that doesn't look any bigger. There we go. Okay, that's what we're looking for. That looks good. Let's go down to the date. Class name equals, let's say, text medium. No, because medium's the default. Text large. Okay. Let's do text gray 500. And we'll say font semi-bold. And we'll say italic. And actually, instead of semi-bold, let's do font thin. Yeah, there we go. That's better. And then how about for the entire thing? So let's hold on. Let's not skip ahead. Let's go to the paragraph first. And let's do class name. And let's say the mobile size. So this is actually, let's just say we want text medium, and then anything medium and higher, we want to go to text large for the day, just to take care of that. And then for the description, let's jump back down to mobile. Go to the Galaxy S5, 100%. And let's say, actually, yep, just text medium. We'll bring this, make that smaller. And then for the paragraph, let's go text large. See how that looks? It's not bad. What would it look like extra large? No, let's go extra large. And then anything above that, we'll just go up one notch each time. So small is 2, medium is 3, large is 4, extra large is 5. Actually, no, you know what? Everything above medium is 5. Make it nice and easy. So text large to start, and then small is 2, and then medium is 5. So now, you know, I still think this is... See, I think that this is too small if the text is going to be that big, right? So maybe I bring this up to 3. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and now let's also, just to make this a little bit easier to read, we'll go to the day, and the day we'll say margin top bottom, so MY, and we'll put a 4 in there. That's too much. Let's just put a 1. Yeah, there we go. All right. Cool. So that's not too bad. Not amazing, but not bad, right? Let's go to iPad. And at the iPad, which is going to be, looks like medium. So let's go to 3. And I think that's a good one. So then we'll say large 4. How's that? Text 4XL. Which means if we turn this off and we expand it a little bit, yeah, I think that's it's not bad. Might be a little bit too big. So We'll just leave it at 3. This is what you do. You go back and forth and you figure it out, right? Okay. We have our max width set. Let's pull this off for a second just so we can check the sizing. Yep, everything's lined up. Looks good. I want to change the font. So let's say I want these two to be Rubik and this to be Roboto. So let's just make everything font Rubik. Alright, and then we'll go down here. And actually for the date, I'm sorry, for the description, I'll say font Roboto. I'll also say font light. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Awesome. And then we want to make sure people know that they can click on it. So cursor dash pointer. And just to indicate they're kind of on there, we'll say hover text dash blue dash 600. There we go. Not too bad. And I really only want the text to show up, the title to show up blue, but I want it to happen when I hover on everything, not just the title. So we'll leave everything as blue when you hover on the list item, but I'll do like I did with the date, and we'll set the text here to text. Maybe I say gray dash, maybe I try a gray color, 700. That's not bad. What's 800 look like instead of black, right? There we go. We can do that. Ah, look at that. Alright, that works. So the list item is done. The list is styled. What do we want to do next? Let's get this to stay up top as well, the header, right? So let's go to open this up, header.js, and right here in the header, let's go ahead and say sticky top 0. And that'll keep our header up at the top. Beautiful. So now anywhere you're on the page, you can just click it and it'll bring you back to the top if you click blog or if you click the title here. Alright, what can we do next? Let us go ahead and start creating a page for each one of these, so when we click on it, it'll actually go to a page and not just bring us back to this main page. So to do that, what we want to do is go to our Gatsby Node.js file, and I'm going to make this just a little bigger on the side here so you can see what's going on, because you don't need to see the browser just currently. And let's actually just full screen it. Oops, sorry, wrong way. And what we need to do in this file is we need to tie into a couple APIs, and the first one is going to be onCreate node. So when Gatsby creates its nodes in the node tree, like how we make GraphQL queries to get data, we want to tell it to also create a slug for our Markdown remark type for the node type, which is the type that our blogs are. So to do that, we want to bring in the path module, which I actually believe, I'm thinking ahead, that might be for the second part, but we'll bring it in anyways. And we also want to bring in create file path. Sorry. You can't use the import. This is running on the server. It's running as node, so you want to use the const and the require syntax, not the import syntax. So we must say require Gatsby -source -file system. And this is so we don't have to go in here and manually create our own slugs. It's going to do it. It's going to do a little bit of magic and create them for us and do all the whole regexing and replacing and splitting and whatnot. So the way we tie into the onCreate node is we do exports.onCreate node. It's going to be a function, and the function is going to take we expect some arguments, or we're going to get some arguments here, and it's going to be node, get node, and actions. And from that excuse me, from that actions argument there, we are going to destructure create node field, and that create node field is going to tie the slug field into the node when it gets created, if it's of the type markdown remark, basically. So that's the first thing I want to do is we want to go in here and we want to check and say if node dot internal dot type equals markdown remark. Make sure I spell that right. Then if it does, then we want to do a couple of things. We want to create a slug first of all. So const slug. We're going to use that method create file path. That's going to take an object, which is going to take the node. It's going to take get node, and then it's going to take a base path. And the base path is going to be, we're going to use a template string, and we're going to say from this spot, so dir name, content, blog. Okay, that's going to be the base path where it finds the markdown remark node types. From there, we want to say create node field, and this is also going to take an object, which is going to take the node. It's going to take a name of the field, so we're going to call it slug, and it's going to take a value, which is going to be the slug that we just created right here. And what we'll do just to see it is say console.log slug, and now we should be able to see that when we run Gatsby develop in our console. So let's clear this. Say Gatsby develop, and we should be able to go here. It's going to take a second to restart, but we should be able to go into our graphical, and now also from these nodes for each markdown remark we should be able to get a slug from here. Just give it a second to build. Take your time. Okay, refresh. Oops. And if we go here, refresh this, everything should be working. Yes. Graphical. Refresh graphical. And now let me just find fields. Okay, so we go into nodes. We go into fields because that's where they get added into the fields key. And then we have slug. And then when we query it, you can see we get a slug. And each slug matches each one of these blog directory names. So whatever you name this is what you're going to get back for your slug. And that's going to be where the page it directs to when you click on the link. Okay, so now we have that slug. Let's go to our post list item. Okay, and we now know that we can get the we can get the fields right here from our node. And so what we want to do is we want to go into our index page. We know we've got node, we've got front matter, but now we've also got fields, which has slug in it. Okay, so this is the index page. This is index in pages, and this is our posts query. We're going to add fields, slug, and it'll be on the same level as front matter. Save that. And then we want to go into our post list item. And apologies, we want to go into our post list because we're saying front matter is node.front matter. And we also want to pass in, so instead of passing in each thing from the node here, I think a better idea is to just pass in the node, right? So let's say post equals node. And now we can get rid of this. We can go into post list item. Instead of front matter here, we can say post. And then we can destructure front matter from post, which allows us to also then destructure fields. And fields, if we log it out here, should contain our slug. So there's a slug for each blog post that's created. And so what we want to do is we want to take fields.slug. We want to take everything that's inside of our our post list item. We want to wrap this inside of a link. Paste that all in and save. Pretty will take care of it. That link is going to come from import link from Gatsby. And then in link right here, we want to say 2 equals fields.slug. Okay, let's go back to the browser. First blog post, click on it, brings us to first blog post. Now, it brings us to the page. Technically, Gatsby is going to direct us to the page, but there's nothing here to be shown. There's no component made, there's no template, right? So we need to create a template for it to show when we actually go to these pages. So let's go into our source folder here. And let's right click and let's say templates. And then inside of this templates directory here, we're also going to say, inside of this templates directory, we want to create a new file. It's going to say blog post.js. And now we want to create a page, a component to be shown when we go to each one of those pages. So RAFCE. And for now, let's just say blog. Let's just say H1 blog post. I can type, I promise. Okay. And what we need to do is we need to go back into our Gatsby Node.js. And we need to tie into the onCreatePages hook here. So we say exports.onCreatePages, and that's going to be a function. It's going to be an async function, And that function is going to have some arguments, which is going to give us GraphQL. It's going to give us actions. And this is angry because it should be exports, And then inside of here, what we want to do is we want to grab the create page method. So const create page, we're going to destructure it from actions. And then we want to say const blog post template equals path.resolve. Remember we brought path in earlier, it's right here. And we want to go ./source/templates/blog post.js. And because path.resolve is going to start from the root of the project. Now what we need to do is we need to create our query. So we'll say const data. Well, let's just lay it out first. Let's open it up. This one's a little bit more confusing. So let's do const, we'll go curly braces, and then we'll say equals, and we'll do await GraphQL, open close curly braces, and then end the line. What we're going to do is we're going to put our query inside of here. So we'll use backticks, put it on the new line, and then we want our exact same query that we're using in our pages. So let's go to pages, index. We're going to grab this exact query right here, just like this. And what we don't need, oh yeah, that's fine. We'll grab it just like that. And we'll go back in here, and we'll just paste that right in. And what we get back from here, we know we get data back, right? Because it's the same thing we get back in index, data. And then from data, we know that we get we get posts back because that's what we've named it, right? So I can destructure from here an object and say posts. So I can just grab posts from there. Okay? Let Prettier fix that up. And then the next thing that we want to do is go under the query, and we want to say posts dot edges, dot for each edge, but remember that we want the node, not the edge. So for every we'll destructure node, we want to create a page. This is going to take an object, and we have the path, which is node.fields.slug, which we created. You want the component that's going to be shown as the template, which is the blog post template. And then we also get a context that gets passed along if we want to use it to pass extra arguments. And we'll just put the slug in here. But we're not actually, we might not use it, we might use it. We'll put it in here for now in case we have to use it. Okay? So that's how we do that. And then what we want to do is go to our terminal. Let's clear. Let's say Gatsby develop, because we want the server to run again and rebuild. I understand that you want to rebuild. Let's just go back to localhost 8000, the home page. Looks like we might have an error here. I think I might have talked myself into the wrong configuration. Hold on. Exports.onCreate pages. So it's not that, it's create pages. Apologies. So in your Gatsby Node.js, change that to exports.create pages. And then let's clear and say Gatsby develop. Let it run. Refresh. I know this one's getting a little long. I do apologize. Just about there though. I didn't want to push another video for too much, but I think I'm going to push the styling of this and then the hosting into the next video, which should be a shorter one. I'll give this a second to finish. I don't know. I've never seen this error before. I tried Gatsby Clean. It's not affecting anything. I think it's some weird thing that my computer is doing. For some reason, the VS Code is renaming the files, so you probably won't even see this, to be honest with you. Close. Let's refresh. Okay, here's our blogs. If I click on it, boom, blog post. All right. Last thing that we want to do is go back to here. This is what we see, blog post. Let's just go to the top and import our layout. So import layout from /components/layout. And let's just take this div and replace it with layout. So now we can see our entire layout. We see blog post. We will style this up. I will show you how to use the data that we're receiving from Create Pages in this blog post, and then we will get it up on Netlify and hosted for free. And the next video, and that should be a shorter one. Thank you so much for watching. I apologize for the long video. I'll see you next time.